Hello and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that bit of footage there. Made that a few days ago. Got a couple of things done on the railway this week. You can see I've installed a lamp in the goods depot there. That is that Hornby I'll get the words out here. The Hornby 00 lamp housing that somebody very kindly sent to me. I don't know whether you remember I had the box, but not the lamp housing. If you have a look at the insert picture there, you can see how I had that wired up. It was a bit bright on 12 volts. So I've rigged it up on a separate power supply at 9 volts, and that seems to dim it down a little bit. But it does tend to get, you are sort of aware of the warmth on it. I'm not sure whether ultimately LED might be the way to go with that, so it runs a little bit cooler. But I think it's quite a nice effect lifting that up there. I think I mentioned before I should get a little bit of light. It'll lift that engine shed. You get a bit more show of sort of. It'll show the locomotives sort of standing out. If it's lit on the inside, I think might add a bit of interest. Not to make it realistic, but just to give it a little bit of lift. I think the Super 4 railway I had lights in all the buildings, comically bright. But I think it does give a little bit of lift. So anyway, let's have a look at the Kneller Hall here. So I think, did I already say the model number of this? R.761. These are available 78 to 79. So this is just another reuse of the mould from the earlier Albert Hall from the sort of late 60s. I think we should give this a bit of power, and then we'll get it off the rails, and we'll have a look over it. And I've got a couple of other things to look at, so we'll dial a bit of power in there. We have got plated or nickel tired wheels, I think they are on this from the very late 70s. Makes it quite a nice runner. Over the far side there, got loads of things sort of standing on the railway. We've begun to put a few bits and pieces away, so I'm just using a telephone at the moment because I want to get in close and have a look at a few things, and that'll allow me to do it relatively easily. There we go. So we'll just bring that gently into the station there. We've got one of those Western Mainline composites on there, and the Pullman first and the Pullman brake second there. I'll put the numbers in the bottom of the screen. So mainly the reason I got this out, well, apart from I got a number of other Western type things, a vague theme going on the railway over the last month or so, was that somebody very kindly contacted me about a month ago and wanted to donate some track and bits and pieces to me. So I arranged to go and pick them up, and gave me a great big box of items, mainly track, and I have edited some of the track down now because some of it was on beyond last legs, shall we say, but lots and lots of usable track. So a lot of it was unusable, very, very rusty. You can see some of that is definitely beyond what we can use, but you notice there we've got fish plates which are definitely usable on somewhat rusty rails. So I have sort of edited through some of the track and harvested out some very usable fish plates, which are going to be nice for Super 4. There was also some Series 3 in there. You have a look in there. So they're going to be quite useful. So this is the last batch of track. I've just got to hunt through and take off the usable fish plates. So some of the track bed's quite nice as well. I have kept the odd bit of track bed here and there to give me a bit of flexibility later on. So let's just pop those to one side. I'm going to run out of space. I should have cleared up a bit more space on here. So I was just servicing the Kneller Hall there. So it was even though I used it on the System 6, it was a bit more of a state than I remember, to be honest. So some of this track here as well, this has all been obviously used. It's been soldered onto, but again, there's a lot of very usable fish plates on there. I'm not going to dig through that box. We won't go mad with all of this stuff. Let's pop that over there. So there's some really nice items in here. Lovely track. But why we got the Kneller Hall out was one of the items in the box of bits and pieces was that. So that is in far superior condition. I mean, it's not perfect, but let's just grab my model off the railway and we'll see what we're up against here. So let's grab that and let's pick this off the rails. Just have a look at it. There we go. I've got that. So late 70s style Hornby wheels on it there. Lovely smooth running thing. Great big grey drive gear in there, makes it very controllable. Let's pop that down. But if you look, nameplates are terribly worn on it. It's had a lot of handling. I think it might be even worse. More far gone on the other side. Yeah, look at that. The nameplate is barely legible. So obviously this has had a lot of playtime. Somebody's really enjoyed it. But I think, on balance, that this one is in far superior condition. So I'm going to do a bit of a body swap, and I'm going to pinch the handrail off this one and pop it on here. Let's have a look there. It has got some scratching on the back of it there. I don't know, maybe we'll paint that out. We'll have a look. We'll swap it over, and possibly some lamps have been stuck onto it at some point there. So in a minute or two, I'll get that all cleaned up. We might as well have a look at the tender whilst we're at it. So if you just have a look at the insert picture there, you can see this locomotive with its box. So while I fiddle, try and embarrass myself and undo the tender, you can have a look at that. There we go. Of course, there was an uncoupling ramp just under there I could have taken advantage of. So let's have a look at that. So again, not too bad. It's been handled. It's definitely been around a bit. I don't know whether that had a sound box, the chuff chuff sound in it, but it looks like a piece of tape over where that would have lived. But it's got all its steps. Fairly nice thing. So I think actually we'll keep those out of the way, because I'm going to just pull out a few other things that we can have a look at. We'll just pop that out of the way. Let's pop that over there. And the body. Let's just pop those on there. I don't think any 00 is going to come storming around there in the next few minutes. We'll just have a very quick look over this. So there's some lovely spares in here. We'll just have a quick look over the track in a second. We've got a fairly beaten up body from a R.55 diesel, the one with the red end, but we've got some horns, and the glazing unit is quite nice condition in there as far as I can see. I think the bodywork may have seen better days. I think there's a great big crack in it there. And there's one of these wonderful little controllers who you would need a battery unit to bring some power into that, and then you've got forward and reverse, and you've got a reset switch there. So you've got the terminal in and terminal out there. What have we got? Anything on the bottom of that? Not especially, but quite lovely things. I think I've got a set which is missing one of these. I have it in mind that I do have a set which should have one of those in and doesn't have one living in the hole where it should be. So we've got some other bits and pieces. Got a couple of coaches, seen better days. These have got glued roofs, but the bogies and the wheels, yeah, you can see the sort of condition they're in. We don't know. We will definitely have some fun with those at some point. Sorry, let's grab those out there. They're both in similar sort of condition, apart from the overall grubbiness. I mean, it's just they've been lying around. The gentleman who passed these on to me said he'd had this lot from new, and this was one of his first engines. I don't know whether that runs. Again, you can see it's been lying around. So maybe we'll whip the top off that on another day and see if that runs. So we've got an interesting box there. So lever frame with leads for electric points. So I think there's a point in there and some cables. I don't think there's a lever frame in there. But again, whoops. So they had the yellow for the TT as well. So possibly the lever frame would have been sold with leads. Could have been the same leads could have been used for the electric points on the TT system. And I'm not up on the TT. And I think I've got a couple of Super 4 points. I don't know which end this box opens. There is a couple of Super 4 point motors in there. So yeah, they'll definitely come out and live another day in there. So I don't think these are sort of fairly unused from what I can see. So it's always nice to have spares on there. They would do the System 6 or the Super 4. It's quite a nice BT's price ticket on the end of there. Point remote control R662 is that, or 663? So I think that came with the leads. I don't know whether that came with the lever frame as well. This is getting on for mid-late 70s in a box, that style. I've got a whale wagon in this rather splendid colour. That's quite nice. Give that a clean up. I've got one that I can run with in the same colour, and that's also yet to be cleaned. Sort of mail coach in fairly grubby condition. So again, there's bits and pieces that can be used on there. I don't know whether I can get that out. That's definitely had some additional weight. They do benefit from some extra weight being added to them, these things. I don't think that's an original item, that extra weight in there. I know I have put extra weight in these things myself to get them to actuate a little bit better than they do. Otherwise they tend to jump. They're so light, they sort of jump on the rails. And there's sort of I don't know what brand that is. It's definitely seen better days. So just pop that in there. Oh, we've got a bogie bolster wagon missing its bolsters. They're quite early bogies on that one, aren't they? So I think, are they the same ones as used on those early coaches? And again, some great spares there. The bogies and the wheels all can come in use. The underframe's away on that one. Has that got a bend in it? Yeah, that's got a bend along its length. So yeah, we've got a petrol tanker there. And that's in the three parts. You see that split away. I think apart from the split, it's not too bad. That'll brush up quite nicely. So I do have another wagon that came from a bunch of things that somebody gave me, which could do with a bit of a brush up. It's we've got the fish wagon in here. So it's in a triangle tube look. So maybe we'll have a look at over cleaning those two items up and getting them on the rails. Let's just pop that back into place up there and concentrate on this lot. So I quite like that wagon. This is sort of quite an interesting grey-green colour. So it is missing one of its hooks, but they do make some sort of interesting shades in the plastics in those early times. I think possibly they were just using up whatever they could get hold of. So there, more parts. We've got wheels. Somebody's had these bits away. They've taken the effort to cut away those items, haven't they? But I think once we're running a railway of this age, of the sort of items I'm using, sort of all bits and pieces, you never know quite what you're going to use and when you're going to use it. So that could have been one of those earlier ones. I think, have I got one of those which has got the clip-on metal but running boards? Am I imagining that? No, I'm not. I think that one there. Has that got the clip-on? I can't see from this distance. Let's grab it. Let's see if I can grab that off the rails. No, it hasn't. This is a slightly later incarnation. Has the chassis changed? I'll put a picture of one in the corner of the screen here. When the early ones had clip-on tin running boards on, and I think they probably came adrift quite easily. Certainly, I think one of the ones I've got is rust is definitely creeping in and could be a problem. I do have another one with missing running boards. So again, we've got spares and stuff here. We are going to you just don't know when you're going to use them. This is something from is that the aeroplane launcher from the Battle Space range? But again, that's got a Battle Space sticker on it, hasn't it? And I'm sure I've got a rocket launcher, which is on that type, but in khaki, and it's missing its Battle Space sticker. So maybe we can either encourage that one to come away or scan it, one of the two or both. So we could have some extra bits and pieces there. There's a handful of 01 chips here. So I'm not sure whether I'll get back to 01. Whoops, sorry about that, knocking the camera. But yeah, we can certainly get around to having a fiddle with those maybe one day. So I think if I ever get back to 01, it won't be such an extensive railway, perhaps a more limited things. But that opportunity I had, there's a few which have been pre-wired and stripped out of locos. Look, think because I had that opportunity with the System 6, it was just sitting there ready to go. It seemed like the thing to do. So yeah, so that's a Southern coach, missing its bogies. Roof's quite nice. It's straight as well. It's not gone all curvy. Excuse me. I'm fighting off some hiccups here. I can't remember the number of that one. Have we got a number on the bottom of that? Let's get that in a bit of light here. So R.761. So that's relatively early in the 50s when they came along. I'm not sure whether that spanned, or did that span into the primary series range as well. It may have been inclusive of that. Possibly. These may have gone on to have the Mark III couplings into that range. But I think the early ones could have been made from the bendy plastic. But this track's all rather good condition, as I showed some track that somebody gave me a short time ago, that this is probably, as good as you're going to get, unless you can get sort of pristine stuff boxed out, unused. So this is quite nice to have, and it gives flexibility. As you see, some of those fish plates are really gorgeous condition, aren't they? So it's quite nice. Amazing how you can have some track which is in such lovely condition mixed together with track which has sort of gone beyond its best, rusty, shall we say. I mean, the stuff's made of steel, and it was originally tin plated. Obviously, once you start running stuff on the tops, railheads go first. Tin plating just gradually wears away over time. You've got a sort of bolster wagon there. Hadn't spotted that one down in the box. And yeah, so you can see we've got straights. We've got first and second radius. We've got the double straights, and we've got they're not half curves, they're curves and double curves, aren't they? So I always get confused. So we've got some bits and pieces. We've got uncoupling rails on those. Nice isolating rail. I'm just going to swap hands with the camera here. And lying in the box there's a whole bunch of those sort of quarter straights, although they don't make up a quarter, though that one is quite rusty. I thought I'd got all the fully rusty stuff out, and so one slips through that. We'll have to have that out of there before it infects the rest. A couple of power clips were floating around in it, and more isolating rails there. So I was very, very pleased to get this. It really is such a kind thing to pass these on, and we will definitely use that Y points. And you've got the screw there where they've been pinned down. So again, these things could exhibit a little bit of a curl. It can increase the conductivity, because you've got these pickups under here that pass the. Let's have a look under there. You can see these metal strips that pass the rail from the switch rail to the appropriate outgoing short rail, and it just rests on it. And as they get dirty or age and what have you, it builds up a resistance, and then you don't get power passing from the switch rail to this rail, and you get stalls. So with my Series 3 I've added extras, but also I've used the relays to try and circumvent that. So I've got I don't rely on the power going through the switch rails anymore on the Series 3. Sort of quite an extreme way of doing it. But again, we've got some points, a lot of usable ones, a lot of which are sort of semi-usable, got springs in them and levers, the odd point motor and so on. But just thought it'd be really nice to see this lot. But I'll get this lot put away. But a huge thank you to the gentleman who passed these on to me. And we'll whip the top off the Kneller Hall, and we'll give this one a bit of a clean up. A couple of days later, I've got that body swap done. So you can see that's the original body from the Kneller Hall there. So we'll just pop that down, and there we've got the sort of rebuilt model on the railway. Where the lamps have been, I think holes have been drilled through the foot plate. There's tiny little metal pegs in them, so I've just sort of touched those in, taken the glue, the sort of sticky glue areas off, and touched those in. I think they're going to be all right. So let's give that a little bit of power and give that a bit of a run, and we'll try and keep the video down a bit for a change instead of going too long. So we'll just give that a run around the outside there. See if I can step backwards over the cables and we'll bring that into the station. Nice gentle stop there. Have a quick look down there. Ah, I know, also I got to fiddling with that wagon. Remember the one I said was a sort of interesting colour. So there we have it. So I gave it a clean up and put a new, it's not the hook, I don't know whether you call it the hook or the loop, I can't remember which side is which now. It's this one. So I've put the new part on there. Are we getting any focus in here at the moment? There we go. So I had to squeeze that one back in. Tiny bit of rocket car glue on one end of it to hold it in place. Gave it a bit of a clean up, freed up the wheels a little. There is the broken part that was left in there. So we've got that one out. And it's very similar to this one with the Mark III couplings. A much sort of more muted tone, I think. Same running number, W1005 on the sides. And I thought, well, that would be quite nice. Sort of thinking about it, it's very close to sort of the khaki and the battle space colours, isn't it? That's one of my 3D printed barrel loads, and that goes in there quite nicely. So that will come out and play another day. Let's see if we can get a run around with the Kneller Hall. Trying to remember where I've left the controls. They are behind me, so let's dial in a little power. Let's see how she looks. I'll put the controls down and we'll go for some daring shots on tiptoes over the elevated section here. We'll come in through the station. I think we'll just let this run right through. Those wheels do sound quite smooth on the rails, and very pronounced clicks as it comes over the rail joints. So let's get that to a gentle stop again. And I think just to finish, maybe, actually, why don't we get the 00 Castle on the go? So let's see, we should have all the points set in the right place. Sorry, I'm not looking in the right place at all. Let's see if we can get the castle underway. Lovely sound off the motor on this model. Now this is sort of running cold at the moment. It will pick up a little pace left to its own devices. Let's just follow it round the once. We'll tempt fate and we'll put the controls down. I'll grab the controls for the Kneller Hall and perhaps see if we can get a couple of shots with both trains running. I'm just following this round the once. There we go. Let's see if we can get the Kneller Hall underway once we come through the station with the Bristol Castle here. There it comes, under all the elevated track. Oops, backing into the edge of the railway here. Let's see if we can get that to run, and we'll get both trains in the shot at some point perhaps. Almost. There they go, down the edge of the railway. Now the Hall's charging away now. Going to warm up a little. There we go, we're coming a little bit tighter up there. Bristol Castle storming around the outside of the engine shed, making very satisfying sounds. I think now the Hall is storming around again. I'm just going to take some control on that. And we'll bring that to a little bit of a rest in the station there for a moment. Let's see if we can get them round together. Am I going to do it through the station together there? There we go. One last try, perhaps. I have trouble trying to remember which one I'm actually in control of. It's the trying Hornby model, isn't it? Let's take some power off that as it comes through there. There we have it. But I think that's probably about it for this week. If you look back again next time, we'll see if we can get something else interesting to have a look at. Goodbye now. The moment I switched the camera off, I'd remembered I was going to bring the Hornby Railways model onto the inside line so we could have a swift look over it. So we'll bring the Bristol Castle back into the station. See if we can have a nice stop alongside the Kneller Hall. There we go. So I'll pop the controls down and pick up the other ones. So they're sort of hiding over there. I'll grab that. And let's bring it around to a set of points first. So a little power in there. And we'll bring it back through the station with one at the other side of the elevated section, so we can open up a crossover point. A lot quieter than the double O models, isn't it? They both have a sort of characteristics, so I want to stop. Shall we stop it there, and then we'll get the points. So we've got several of them to take care of. So I've got my hand on the correct switch here. So we want curved on that one, and then we want curved on that one. We can see the goods depot from the other side with that lamp in there. Yeah, not sure whether I'm going to go for LEDs in there. I do quite like that warm lamp though in there. And that sort of underpowered filament bulb going very, very warm. Right, let's get this locomotive onto the inner line. I think I've got everything set correctly. No, incorrectly. I just need to make an adjustment on here. So I need to turn that one off and onto onto one controller controlling the whole railway. I knew there was something that needed doing. Right, let's bring this through. If we can go up slightly higher, we'll get a more impressive shot of it coming through here. We'll just let it all the way around. And we'll bring it in next to the other Western train there. There we go. I'm just going to switch out the points behind me for a second. So we'll undo what we've just done. So that's that and that. So let's just whip off the locomotive here for a moment and have a quick look. Or undo the tender anyway. So we gave that a bit of a clean up on the back there. Some fairly severe scratching in there. I'll have to take off quite a lot of plastic to get rid of that. And I've got the handrail there I've pinched, and then I took the whistles off the other body. Let's grab the other body while we're at it. Sorry, spinning round, I left it behind me. That felt like a long reach. So they just pulled out quite nicely. And there, I said we've got those sort of slight holes on the foot plate there at the front. Let's just pinch that off and have a look underneath. There we can see there's some more scratching of some of these initials in the model. You can see the sort of holes where it's been drilled through on that side. Let's have a quick look at that end there. So a reasonable sort of tidy up, but I think on balance it is tidier than the original model was. Whoops, we'll get that in there, that on there, and we'll hook it back up again. Oh, obviously I took the Y hand. Whoops, that was a bit rough, wasn't it? So I took the Y handrail off there. I think I already said that. So we'll pop that back in there, and then we'll just keep that body for any other spares that we might be able to get off it, maybe the chimney cap or buffers, or we may just keep it for another project for another day. So I think that really is it this time. Let's just have a little bit of a move around this inside line. Should be able to get some nice close-up pictures of this. We'll just let it run away. I think overall that's quite a nice improvement. Let's just get that to go around there. Cylinder blocks are quite worn as well. But I think that's probably it this time. Thank you again for watching. Goodbye now.